We're here in the Soho district of London, standing outside the pub named for Dr. John Snow, the father of epidemiology. Soho is now a popular area of restaurants and bars, but in 1854 it was among the worst slums of London, with dense population, no piped water, and no sewage disposal network. The outbreak of cholera that occurred in that year resulted in a devastating loss of some 700 lives. The Industrial Revolution, then in full swing in the UK, was leading to huge increases in city populations and unprecedented outbreaks of disease. And cholera is a particularly nasty and frequently fatal disease. At the time, people believed that it was the result of what was called miasma, air pollution brought on by fires for cooking and heating and by poor ventilation. Dr. Snow, who lived in Soho on Golden Square, began to map the cholera deaths and noted how they were largely clustered around one particular source of drinking water, a pump in what was then Broad Street. And also that cholera was not occurring in other similar areas of London that also suffered from frequent miasma. Besides polluted water from the pump, there are several other possible causes of cholera that might have produced a similar pattern on Snow's map. One is contagion, an outbreak that might have originated in a victim living in the center of the cluster and passed to the victim's neighbors, perhaps by physical contact. Another is some peculiar characteristic of people living in the area, such as elderly or young children, but Snow found that the disease killed indiscriminately. And yet another is the miasma theory. Moreover, some of the deaths occurred in houses that were closer to other sources of water. Snow thought about all these options and was able to confirm that all of the victims used the water from the pump. He was able to demonstrate that the pump was the cause of the outbreak by preventing people from using it to draw water and showing that the outbreak subsided. Since then, Snow's map has had enormous influence on the development of cities. In London, new sources of drinking water were identified and connected to houses through networks of pipes. Sanitary sewers were built to take away effluent, initially to the River Thames, and more recently to sewage treatment plants. Yet cholera continues to pose a threat to human health. In the late 19th century, it was a major cause of death among the migrants following the Oregon Trail, who shared very limited sources of water in the arid West and were not nearly careful enough about disposing of waste. Much later, in 2019, an outbreak of COVID-19 occurred in Wuhan in China. People have been arguing about its origins ever since. Was it a market in the center of Wuhan that was selling live animals for food? Or was it an internationally renowned research institute, also located in Wuhan but some distance away from the market? Analysis of the first cases of COVID-19 appears to show a clustering around the market, and this would support the market theory. Underlying all of this reasoning from maps is a simple principle known as equifinality, that the same map pattern can always be produced by many different processes. In this case, no fewer than 4 such processes have been identified, all of them capable of explaining the pattern on Snow's map. Sorting among them and reaching the correct inference is always a challenge, especially when a simple expedient like stopping people using the pump is not available.